For months we've been eagerly awaiting the newest reboot / reimagining / re-whatever of the classic 80s and later toy and animation series Masters of the Universe. I'm what you could call a fan of the He-Man franchise as I grew up with it and still hold it in my heart as something special. I was worried about what they would do to the characters with this new show and, although the first reveals were promising, it was quickly noted that there were some changes that felt unnecessary but all too familiar. Masters of the Universe Revelation is a Netflix show by Kevin Smith, who has been vehemently saying that this show is about He-Man and features him prominently. Like any good spinner of truth or lies, you could say that the show indeed is about He-Man, and it does feature him mostly in flashbacks and specific scenes, but anyone can spin anything to suit his or her own agenda if need be. This green apple can be red. It can spoil and turn color. It can be painted. It can have blood on it from your gums. But that doesn't mean the apple is red. And this show is not a show that has He-Man as the main character. Instead we follow Teela, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, who brings her Valley Girl voice and attitude to the character. Unlike previous iterations of this character, we are immediately told how great she is. Something that did not need to be mentioned in every single other story in the past. She almost immediately makes herself unlikable by making a fuss about not being in the loop of a secret only 5 people knew about. At the same time, his parents are told their son is dead. She casts off everything and everyone cause she wasn't in on the secret. The second episode reveals her new looks and attitude by having her adorn the haircut of the modern feminist. And it's of course alluded that she is romantically involved with Andra, who just happens to be a black character now instead of a redhead. Something that has also been a trend for some strange reason. Even King Grayskull was now a black man because, well, I guess there were no great diverse characters in Masters of the Universe, so they had to change one into one. Regardless of possible scissoring, Teela and Andra are mercenaries, and one of their next missions is to reclaim a goblet, which then flows over into the main storyline of the show, returning magic to Eternia by reforging the sword. She blames everyone for what goes wrong with her, blames Evil Lyn for not saving Orko even though she tried, blames Man-at-Arms, blames He-Man. At one point she needs to confront her own fear so Scareglow can feed off her, and instead of a giant spider or the fear of lost, Teela's true fear is the fear that she is too powerful. So the woman who has cast aside everything because she was butthurt is condescending to almost everyone, and then stands up tall and confronts her fear of being too powerful to become more powerful. It's all stunning and brave. Yay girl power. Yay slay queen. You're still an obnoxious, arrogant cunt. Even when she reunites with Prince Adam, she cannot let it go that they kept a secret. Even though many other characters already gave her sufficient reasons not to be like this. They turned the once heroic, sexy, aspiring Teela into an arrogant, petty, scornful woman, even though she still continues her quest and pretty much does what she is told during the course of it. The undertone of the story is one of religion versus science. With magic being gone, Teela relies on science to do everything. Snake Mountain's defenses are more technological and there are cyborgs running around. All this is fine, as Masters of the Universe always mixed science fiction and fantasy in a never so delightful manner. The band of women consisting of Teela, Andra, Evil Lyn go on a quest to save magic and ultimately the universe. There are a lot of appearances of well-known motor characters that will please lifelong fans, and seeing many of my favorite toys come to life once again made me feel giddy. Post-Game of Thrones, there's no story without someone dying off, and Revelations also delivers on that. Mossman is killed within a couple of seconds only to return the last episode in the equivalent of Motor Heaven. Roboto, one of my favorite characters of the toy line, gets killed. Orko dies right after finding the power within himself and actually saving the day rather than bumbling it up. A great way to honor the character, but then they kill him off. Casiano. According to Smith, people hated Orko and killing him off in self-sacrifice would make us love him. Problem being that we always liked Orko despite his quirks. You might be mistaking Orko for Snarf from the original Thundercats. He-Man and Prince Adam dies at the end of episode 1 only to come back in the 5th episode to be stabbed by Skeletor, who also got killed in the 1st episode. Man-at-Arms gets character assassinated almost immediately. Apologizes to Teela when seeing her again after already apologizing for keeping a secret he was told to keep by his prince. Despite that, he's still a badass until he is face to face with the all-powerful women. Andra is the mostly bumbling, scared, comic relief of the series, even more so than Orko, who gets fleshed out a little more. Visually, the show is great and it features a lot of nostalgic moments, revealing plenty of characters, buildings, and vehicles. The animation is great and it all looks beautiful, but I had problems with the voice work. Geller's whiny Valley Girl voice and He-Man's soft tone of voice didn't do it for me. Hamill, always praised for his voice work, unfortunately just sounded like the Joker, which, in a way, is fine, I guess. The moment an old woman steps out of the shadows and speaks immediately spoils the plot by revealing it's Evil Lynn in disguise, as Lena Headey doesn't mask her voice well enough to hide that she is Evil Lynn. Ultimately, the essence of everything can be assigned to one thing: a lack of respect. A lack of respect for what came before and the arrogance to claim that whatever came before was wrong and that you, and only you, are right in reshaping that past for the future. It's like a fight starting at a family gathering. The people involved, the family, will look at what is happening with scorn and pick sides. Those on the outskirts who see what occurs will state the flaws in what is going on, the good or the bad, the reasons behind it. And those even further will grimace and say it ain't that bad. Happens all the time. Look at them go semi-cheering for the spectacle as it tears all involved apart before leaving for the next thing. The blatant lies by Kevin Smith in the run-up to its release are quite simply not defensible. I don't know in what world lies and deceit has ever been praised and ignored, but we're part of it. No sane person would condone this if it were something that would be done to them. If I go to a restaurant and am promised a rich meal with steak, then I expect to get a steak, to then get a large salad with some eggs and be told that there's small pieces of steak somewhere in it and that should be okay for you is just something I can't get into. Revelations ultimately is about Teela and her rise to power. He-Man himself is a side character and plot device to move her story along. Masters of the Universe, Revelation should have been a celebration of the legacy of Motu, and even though we haven't seen the rest of the series, what we received in the first 5 episodes is the tiresome story that gets rehashed in almost every pop culture reboot. Slaying down the patriarchy of the past and letting everything be solved by a group of strong and powerful women. Sexist, you may say? Misogynistic? Tell me how sexist it is to have every strong male being put down in almost every episode. Talks on how they suppressed these women and how much of a fool they were. Even though in the originals the characters were equal. Evil Lynn wasn't smitten by Skeletor. She was using him so she could take power at the right time. Ultimately, the biggest failure of the show is making this show revolve around Teela and advertising it as such, putting current-day politics into it and making a beloved character unlikable and having her crap over other beloved characters in the process. Those who still don't see it haven't been paying attention the past few years, as we have seen this happen to our franchises time and again. By now, this isn't just a coincidence. It's intentional and it shows a lack of respect for what came before. A lack of respect for the past and the road we traveled as the human race. The essence of a good story has always been the redemption arc, characters rising up against all odds and becoming better due to their experiences. There was no need to change what was changed besides a certain agenda they are trying to push. an agenda that pretty much has the opposite effect of what they are trying to accomplish. Unless that's all part of the plan, but we're delving into 4D chess here.
Their reaction was like, Kevin, this is amazing for the show. And I was like, yeah, but all these people are mad. They were like, yes, it looks like about 5,000 to 10,000 people have written nasty things. And they were like, but we have 210 million subscribers. And I was like, oh, so mathematically we're safe? They're like, safe as kittens.